As I spend what is probably my 900th day removing the layers of concrete from these original stone walls, I wanted to talk about how we intend to keep this old damp cottage warm. It's that time of year where the leaves are turning orange, Halloween is just around the corner and the temperature seems to be dropping by the day. Perhaps that's why the thought of a warm, dry house is suddenly at the forefront of my mind. Let's take this cottage all the way back to its old stone bones and have a look at just what we are dealing with. Surely we can't find any more nightmares behind these walls, can we? Good morning folks, welcome back. I hope you're all doing very well. So I'm currently in the process of removing all the crap from off of these stone walls. So I've done most of this one behind us now. Obviously you've already all seen the gable when that got repointed. I've still got this one to do, which I'm very dubious about because there's an old chimney up there. And obviously you can see that's been blocked in with breeze blocks. So there's a plethora of stone blocks and God knows what behind there. Plus this one that's going to be the kitchen side. I need to get all that old plaster off. And there should be an old window in there, so it'll be interesting to see that. But I've just got to the point where I need to take away the next storage heater, and I thought this might be a good time to kind of explain how we intend to keep our house warm. Oh, crikey. Excuse the cables and whatnot. Don't worry, they are perfectly safe. So a lot of you will know this and a lot of you won't. This is what we call or what I call a nighttime storage heater. And it works, it's for people that was on like a night rate and a day rate with their electricity, or economy 7 as I know it best. And we've got it here. So basically we get a cheaper rate of electricity during the night. So from I think here we get it from 10 till 6. Back in England, when I had it last, it was like 12 till 7 or something. The rate we pay for electric at night is much, much cheaper than what we pay for it during the day. So how this works and why they weigh an absolute ton, if you've ever tried to move one, is inside of here, it's full of, I don't know if these are clay bricks or what they're made of, but usually clay bricks. Now, I don't know how many's in here, but they make it very heavy, so it looks like there's 12. So each one of these, I don't know, I'd say that's pushing, I don't know, 10 kilos would be my guess. And there's 2 layers. So you've got one layer at the front. Behind the first layer, you've got a heating element. Hang on, let me move you. This is the heating element, and as you can see, it's sandwiched between 2 layers of the bricks. So there, that's your heating element, and this comes on at night. So you turn it on, they was on a timer I think. They come on at night time, and overnight this heats up these bricks, which take quite a long time to get to temperature, and then all night long they throw heat into these bricks, and these bricks store the heat, hence storage heater. Then when you needed heat, when the electric was more expensive, there'd be enough heat stored within these bricks to emit back out into the room. So these would give off heat, so to speak. Now, how does that apply to this house, you ask? Well, this house is made of solid stone, so our walls are like thick, solid stone. Now, it just turns out that the stone our house is made of has an excellent thermal mass, and thermal mass is what these clay bricks and these storage heaters rely on to give you heat. So that is what we're going to try and utilise for the house. Now, if we cover our walls in insulation, it won't be as effective. Now, I should also say a key to this working is our stone walls need to be dry. Cold, wet walls won't work. It needs to be a dry wall, which is why we're putting so much effort into using the correct lime mortar, the drainage out the back, probably drainage out the front, keeping the water off on the roof. And it's why 9 times out of 10 these houses were covered in a lime render outside, and that was to limit the amount of driving rain that could get through the walls. So when you all say, oh, leave the outside as stone, we'd absolutely love to, but it isn't historically correct, and it probably isn't going to be good for us when it comes to heating the house. But we will try it on the snug and see how we go. But yeah, so I don't want to cover these walls in insulation. What I want to do is use the correct lime plaster. Now the lime we're using is the best at wicking moisture away. So you know how you'd go for a run. If you went for a run and you was to wear a waterproof jacket, you would sweat, right? And all that sweat would stick to you. It'd stay inside the jacket, it can't get out. Most runners or hikers or whatever outdoor sport, maybe even football, you'd wear an anti-wicking or a wicking type of t-shirt, you know, made of nice material. So when you sweat, that material literally pulls the water off of you and it could evaporate away into the air. Well, that's what lime does with our building. So I hope that is making some kind of sense. So my point is, and I do hope this is coming across, is that we are going to rely on the thermal mass of the walls to help keep us warm. So by keeping a dry wall, we will have a wood burning stove in here, which is a nice dry heat. I haven't made a final decision on our actual heating, whether we're going to go with electric or oil. We'll probably go for an oil boiler. But yeah, so no matter what house you live in, you need to turn the heating on at some point, right? I don't care how airtight it is or how well insulated it is. It gets cold in this country and you have to turn the heating on. So when we're heating our home at night, with the fires and whatever other heating we may or may not need, we should warm these walls up, and they can hold a lot of heat for a very long time, so they'll admit that heat back into the room. So once it's dry and warm, it should, in theory, be easy to keep warm. Now we're obviously going to have a lot of insulation in the floor, and we're going to have insulation in the roof, and then we just need to make sure that we are on top of keeping our walls warm and dry. Another big part of this working is we need good ventilation, because the water doesn't just come from outside. Obviously, once you start living in a space, you've got condensation from breathing, cooking, showering, all those kinds of things. So again, the lime on the inside should help wick that moisture away, and the other key to that is ventilation. So we will need to have the windows open on the regular, which is what they used to do in the good old days, and I quite like that. Like, I know airtight homes and all that is the rage at the minute, but for me, if I spend any amount of time indoors with the windows shut for any period of time, I start to feel ill and lethargic and horrible. So we like to open our windows for a good couple of hours every day here and there. So that is going to be key. Ventilation and heating, much like when you're in a van, the way you stop your van from being covered in condensation all the time is heat and ventilation. So that is how we plan to keep our house warm. Hopefully that makes some sense. And then obviously it doesn't work, we'll just stud it afterwards and put insulation in. But I'd really rather not, because we'd lose a lot of space if we did that. And we'd lose an awful lot of character too. Come on. Lovely jubbly. Right, what do you reckon? Good. I'd also like to add that I'm by no means a scientist or an expert, or know what I'm talking about in any kind of way. So I've done that in layman's terms as I understand it. Yes, there's probably some wrong terminology and whatnot, but if I read it all off the internet with all the correct words, no would understand it. So yeah, please don't berate me in the comments. I've done my best to explain one of our most popular questions that we're getting. One final thing, and I promise this is the final thing, and then we'll get on and do some work. But it's important. Look, I've even gone and got a pen. So I know what you're thinking. If you just cover both sides of your wall in cement, cement is waterproof, brilliant, and then you can still rely on thermal mass and water can't get in. But I'll draw a little diagram. Okay, so this is a side profile of our rubble stone wall. Please don't run out on me pen. This pen's been in the van for about 5 years, so it probably doesn't work. So if you don't know how a rubble stone wall is made, basically you've got big stones one side, big stones the other side, and then this is infill of rubble. So this is the side profile of the wall. So this would be inside the house, let's say, and that's the outside world. Outside. Now it just sits on the ground, so there's no foundation, so there's no DPM. Now we can't add one at a later date because that would be very difficult. So we've got driving rain coming from this side and moisture coming up through the ground. All things that make this wall wet. Now if we was to put cement at both sides, lovely jubbly, nice waterproof cement, covers our wall over nicely, then obviously driving rain now cannot get in, so that's brilliant. However, all that rain will trickle down the wall, hit the ground and add to the moisture that's already coming up through the ground. And like I say, we cannot add a DPM. We've got no way of stopping this. So all this moisture wicks up through the stones. The base of our walls become wet, and then this has got nowhere to go because we've got cement both sides. Now, ideally, you don't want cement either side. Sometimes you'll get away with it on one side, but it depends on your house where it's positioned and whatnot. So all this moisture is now in the wall wet, so we now cannot rely on thermal mass. The second issue is, because it's a rubble stone wall just sat on the ground, this house over the years will move. It will move a little bit here, a little bit there, whatever. If we get even the tiniest crack in the cement, because cement cannot move with a house, this driving rain can now get in from here. And again, it will trickle down the wall, spread through the wall gets wet, the moisture cannot wick away. So we now have a wet wall, which we cannot get the moisture out of. So it will just be a cold wall. Now, a lot of people would say, batten and insulate this side, which is a possibility for sure, but you'd need a cavity here, so you'd have a cavity here, and what you've got is warm on the inside hitting our cold wall on the outside. This is just going to be full of moisture because condensation. Warm air hits cold wall, condensates. So you need ventilation. Now, we don't have like a normal cavity wall. We haven't got an air brick or ways of getting cross ventilation through here. So mechanical ventilation would be your only option. Now that would work. I'm pretty confident mechanical ventilation would work, but like I said before, we need a decent sized cavity, then we'd have the studs, thick insulation, then the plasterboard, so we'd lose an awful lot of space all the way around, and we'd lose that wibbly wobbly character, which we really want to try and retain. My main issue with mechanical ventilation though is a personal one. I have a real issue with anything that makes a continuous noise, so any kind of low hum or repetitive noise. And when I say I've got an issue, I've had to get off buses because people are breathing too loud or snoring or eating. It's just a big deal for me, so I want to try and avoid it if I can. The other option that some of you may have heard of is an injected DPC or tanking. Now, an injected DPC, they drill holes all the way along the wall about 1 metre up and inject a DPC in. It's since been proven many, many times that that no longer works, or it never worked in the first place. It might rectify the problem temporarily, but you're having to have it continually done, and it's just bad for the wall in the long run. So we're just going to avoid that at all costs. I've seen it found on like proper brick buildings, so I'm assuming it's just going to be useless on this as well. Now, I just want to add also, if you have a cottage and it is covered in cement render, it may well be absolutely fine. It does really depend a lot on your building, where you are, your drainage, which way your building faces, how much shelter you've got. They're all different. So because we're going back to the stone bones, we're just going to do it as best we can from now because we've got the opportunity. So don't panic if your building is covered in cement render, but maybe that could be a contributing factor if you have got damp. So yeah, I'm, like I say, no expert. This is just based on research that I've done and some experience with brick buildings, old Victorian brick buildings, many, many moons ago, where they had similar problems. Right, now we can finally get on with some work. Oh, look who's arrived!
Oh, it's freezing!
What time did you come in?
I thought I've been working, and I'm just going to go back to the van because it's so cold.
I've begun to the YTS apprenticeship scheme and see if I need a new one.
I'm the best apprentice you've had, Louise. Don't start, because I will leave you.
Where's your gloves from the other day?
They're in the car.
They're not using in the car.
Look, Louise, it is what it is. I've got the gloves on. I need to get moving because I'm freezing.
They're coming out of your wages.
Right, what, my pence that you give me?
There's 2 cakes you get in for this week's work instead of 3.
You can't take the cakes away. Your little drawings. Your little artistic drawings.
Yeah, I know, but this one, right, where I've drawn for the little lines, look like hairy balls. Do you know what I think?
No, that's not what came into my head actually, Louise.
Also, I had to do it twice because
I
got my words tangle-fangled the first time.
Tangle-fangled?
Tangle-fangled.
I don't believe that. You're very good at explaining stuff. Oh, honestly. Let's get some heat in this house, Louise.
Right. Oh, are you ready?
Ready.
I'll sing you a song. We'll meet when we meet.
Sorry, you're like singing that, Louise.
Sorry, Mum, I couldn't do it. Say that again.
Shut up, Louise. That's it. Sorry, what? You're a dick.
Wherever you are, as you breathe in the space, as I breathe in the city, we'll know when it's right for us to be looking at the stars from my balcony, wondering about what the future will bring. Oh, we'll have made it so far, looking at each other and knowing how we've been through a lifetime. Here we are now. Oh, we made it this far.
Okay, so we was going quite well, or again very well actually, until we got to the doorway. The lintel above this doorway, I don't know if you can see, it is very, very thin, and obviously we've got plenty of signs of damp and rot in there as well. Now, I've chipped away a little bit at the mortar above, and it is a bit thicker as you get to the middle, but I'd say it's concerning. It's our most concerning find so far, isn't it? Emily wasn't paying one bit of attention then. What are you doing, posting stories on Instagram?
Yeah, I was posting stories on Instagram. I was not listening at all.
Top tip of the day, was it?
Yeah, top tip of the day. Top tip of the day. Don't eat cheese and onion crisps and wear a mask afterwards, because actually it doesn't taste that nice when you're breathing in and out.
So there you go, folks. This really is the channel for all your building knowledge needs. Lintels and what not.
Correct top tips of the day.
And what not to eat before you put on a mask.
Genuinely, right? You are so not organised or tidy in our lives at all, and then you come to work.
Yeah, you need to be organised at work.
This is like a whole new loo. No, I'm not going to lie to you, Louise, right? I'm a little bit annoyed how organised you are and tidy you are.
Oh, would
when
you
it
stop
comes to
going on?
work. Like, get you to try and put a yogurt pot in a bin.
Right, where are you with your wheelbarrow?
I can't bloody get in, can I? You better give me away.
Right. Oh my.
What?
We have something new.
What the hell is it? Is that a door?
I've got no idea what that is.
What is it? What the hell is it?
I think that is a door.
I told you.
Oh, it is a door. That's a door to the bedroom on the other side. I think.
It looks like
There's no one in there.
oh, what? Oh my god, if there was a knock back, Louise. Could you imagine?
Originally, we wasn't planning on taking this plasterboard down because I'm going to dry line and put a new stud wall up all the way up to the top of the roof to cover in that big cavity that we've made. However, it's all slightly out of square and I'd need to build out, and I figured it'd just be easier, do you know what, if I just take it down and build one flush stud wall all the way up, and then I can run my own services in there to get round to the other side of the building. But we're quite excited to find this old door, aren't we?
I know, it's quite, I don't know why, but it's just really cool when you find little stuff like that, little quirks and things, because why would you leave the door there and not
Well,
like
they've just studded over it.
studded over it? Yeah.
So originally, one of the neighbours told us this was 2 bedrooms, and if you remember when we first bought the place, we found that weird angular piece in the wall, and we
Yes.
believe that's for 2 separate fireplaces. Now, we're not doing the bedroom for quite some time, so we won't look at that just yet, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see now
I know what's behind
left
it.
under
Now I'm
there.
like, I want to see.
But we might end up doing the same. We might end up leaving it there and just putting my new stud wall straight up from that, because
From that, yeah.
we shouldn't have damp problems there, really.
It's just a door.
It's just a little door. Maybe we'll keep the door.
Door to nowhere.
Right, you clear?
Yep.
Huge stones.
Really?
Yep, some polystyrene.
Oh, nice. There's lots of paper there. What's that paper? It's got stuff written on it, Louise.
So as far as I'm aware, they used to use paper back in the day around windows and doors as like a packer.
I've got writing on it.
Yeah, but the good news is it's bone dry.
That is good.
Absolutely bone dry, so I don't think we have anything to worry about in this wall. Something Dublin. Element Limited. Cement Limited Dublin.
Cement Limited
Cement
Dublin.
Limited Dublin. That's all. Take that one first. Cement or stone? Cement, is it not?
It's the game of the day, Louise. Cement or stone?
Cement or stone? Just constantly thinking about this flipping lintel that's off my head. That's our stone for today. We just need to tidy up. So I thought that this whole wall was stud because that top corner was studded out, but that was just to bring it flush. It's all dot and dab, so it's just stuck to what I'm assuming is mostly breeze block behind. So even if I take that off, I'm only going to gain 9 mil, so it's just not worth it. So I'll have to start off of that and go straight up. Agreed?
Agreed. But how much am I going to lose?
3.5 inches.
3 inches? Like that?
If you ask a man, it's that. If you ask a woman, it's that. Right, so tidy up.
Such a twat.
Oh,
What?
one more thing. We did think that when I restud it, we might keep the cool funky door. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. I don't know, I just like it. I feel that it's just a little bit quirky and a little bit, you know, why not?
The door to nowhere.
The door to nowhere, yeah, or the door to everywhere. What happened there, Louise? You know that I'm like the paranormal.
Huh?
Yep.
Okay, so we are done in here. So it is now ready for Emily to attack the point in. You're very excited about
I
it.
am
aren't you?
excited. I can't wait to get it done. So I'm going to start pointing like ASAP. No, raking first, then pointing.
Yes, so this wall's all ready to go. Once it's raked out, that wall's all ready to go. That bit down in the corner there, now I'm going to have no choice but to stud this section because it is all over the place. I'm going to have to stud that, ventilate it somehow. And because that's the wonky, precarious bit, I ain't touching it. So we're just going to leave that on. It's bone dry. I think it'll be okay. But we do now have a conundrum, don't we?
We do, yes.
Because this wall is now relatively easy to remove, we are debating, because this bit's definitely stud. Like this little, so this is our bedroom. This bit's definitely stud. And then we have, most of you remember, this triangle bit. And that is, we now know, 2 separate fireplaces. So there was a fireplace in this half, which was 1 bedroom, and a fireplace in that half, which was the other bedroom. And obviously it's very intrusive, it takes up a lot of space. So we're now debating, do we just take this whole wall and where they've blocked up the chimney, just take it all down, stud wall across, that'll give us a much bigger bedroom, a non-stone wall that we don't have to worry about. But obviously it makes the project much, much quicker in this time, doesn't it?
Much quicker.
Much longer, sorry.
Quicker. But also, I don't know if you want to give a pan round, Louise, but have you seen the state of what everything I've been crammed in it?
We'd have to find somewhere to keep all our stuff, because obviously all this would have to come out and it would just be one massive open space that we'd have to deal with. So I don't know, let us know what you think in the comments, whether we just bite the bullet, remove that wall, make our bedroom bigger, have just an easy stud wall to deal with and go from there. But it just means like when we concrete the floor, we do the whole thing, so it's a much bigger pour and it's just... We'll have to think about it, wouldn't we?
We have to think about it, but genuinely, from the start, I've hated that triangle bit and wanted rid of it. So as soon as you said to me, should we take it down? I'm like...
It is possible. Anyway, we will go and think about that. Hopefully this video has answered your questions about how we're going to heat the house, insulation and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we'll explain more as we go on with the renovation, and we will see you all on the next one when Emily's going to have those pointing fingers well underway.
Hey! Love little pointing wink fingers.